Welcome to the Buff Show podcast from Appeals Law Group in Central Florida. If you've been convicted of a crime wrongly, you need to check out the great appellate services from Patrick Magaro and Jamie Housecott at appealslawgroup.com. And also, we're brought to you in conjunction with the American Adversaries radio show. You can listen to that show every Friday through Sunday.
Sunday through Friday, but that's close enough.
Friday, every day but Saturday. That's it. 5 p.m. Eastern time. And you can listen to that at AmericanAdversaries.com or over the airwaves here in Central Florida at 94.9 FM or AM 950. Of course, I am Matt Buff on The Buff Show, and I'm joined by the host of the American Adversaries radio show, philosopher and political mad scientist Christopher Hart. Good to see you, my friend. This is part 3 of this week's episodes, and we finished part 2. It's great to see you again today. We finished off on part 2 on the fake news. We have to justify the numbers in the CDC. We have to justify the country being shut down. But let me ask you this. If it's so bad out there, why do we have fake videos of people crying that saying they were nurses and they're not? We have images of overrun hospitals, but they're not from America.
Nope.
And they're probably not even from this year.
Nope.
We have all kinds of fake things. Chris, I have to be honest with you. I got called a murderer for the first time in my life this week.
You
got called a murderer.
What did you do?
Because I said I wanted to go outside.
Oh, I thought maybe you kicked a squirrel or something, man. What the heck did you do?
We'll get more onto that later, but this segment, we want to talk about the flattening of the curve. And if you heard us talking about what we told stories from friends, radio hosts, Patrick Magaro himself, my wife, we told stories from all kinds of people that think maybe this curve flattened a few months ago.
Well, in fact.
But let's talk about that, Chris, of some of the data that you've acquired.
Well, let's think about this flattening of the curve for just a moment, okay? I want to look at this from an aspect of physical science, all right? Because let me put it this way. Did you ever flatten a beer can?
Yes.
Did you ever flatten a tire?
Yes.
Did you ever flatten anything where when you flattened it, there was less of it left than what you started with?
Not as many things as have been with beer cans, but yes, definitely.
Well, what I'm trying to say here is this. If you see, when they talk about flattening the curve, they just talk, when they push it down, what does it do? It pushes it out. So in other words, flattening the curve may be tantamount to prolonging the curve and tantamount to prolonging the pain. It may have been better to let this run its course. There is a professor, Dr. Witkowski, who's an immunologist who writes about herd immunity. And there was an article written about him and his theories by Edward Stringham for the American Institute for Economic Research this past week. We're working to try to get Dr. Witkowski on the American Adversaries radio show. He's an immunologist, which he knows more about these types of diseases than guess what? Either Dr. Birx or Dr. Fauci. Okay? They're bureaucrats. Okay, their whole world is dealing with models. You remember all the models they keep shoving on our face?
That
is their world. Okay, for Dr. Witkowski, his world is dealing with people with diseases. And it's a big difference. And so what they've done, perhaps with flattening the curve, was simply to prolong the existence of the disease. Think about it. This is a disease born of nature and travels through nature. We're still in nature, even if you're in your house, and we know people have to eat. People have to provide the food. We can't simply shut everything down and isolate people, and it may very well be that is exactly the wrong way to deal with such a coronavirus-type disease, which is a coronavirus, which is, in essence, a cold virus. Maybe a very severe one, although the numbers are indicating not so. It is nonetheless something it is a unique form of a cold virus. So therefore not entirely new. But the approach that we've taken to dealing with this is entirely new. And this idea of flattening the curve being somehow better is simply an assumption. But most assumptions make an ass out of us, right?
Out of you and umption.
Yeah, if you assume things, it makes an ass out of you and me. All right, so I saw that on an old episode of The Odd Couple. So Tony Randall. So the whole point.
Chris is dating himself a little bit,
very
just
much,
a tiny bit.
Well, let me just tell you, I ain't ever seen anything like this. I don't remember my parents or grandparents.
Like this.
No, because we didn't deal with disease. The approach to dealing with the disease was to take care of the sick and the vulnerable. And this is Dr. Witkowski's point. We should have isolated people, but not everybody. We should have isolated those who would be most susceptible to succumbing to the disease. Not anybody, just any old body who might be susceptible to contracting the disease. And that is a huge difference.
Well, you're talking a lot about, and it sounds like you're heading into the realm of herd immunity.
And that's what he talks about, indeed.
Herd immunity would solve this problem faster, because you see on the news right now, they're saying this could come back, this could come back. Yeah, because we're all stuck in our houses, right? And when we get out finally, yes, there could be some sort of resurgence. But herd immunity keeps you out in public, and people that are immune are protecting you. And if you're sick, you go to the doctor.
That's it. Herd immunity,
especially with something with a high return of cure and a high return of getting better rate. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
We're going to pick that up a little bit later.
Yeah,
but you're absolutely
right.
See, herd immunity, when people themselves get immune from the disease, they are less likely to pass it on to others, oddly enough. Okay? So you want a certain amount, and we said this early on on the American Adversaries radio show too. I said, it may, odd as it may sound, if you're a healthy person, you're going to want to get the damn disease. What is a vaccine? When they inject you with a vaccine or orally or up your butt or however they give you a vaccine, what they are giving you is a little piece of that disease so that your body can develop the immunity to it.
That's what happens when you get a flu shot.
That's right. They're giving you a little bit of the flu. That's why a lot of people get the flu and they get a flu shot. So the point is, we'd be much better off isolating those who would be most susceptible to succumbing to the disease and actually letting the healthy people go about their daily lives.
I.e. how we do it all the time.
And indeed. And then the economy stays strong and healthy, which provides more ability to treat those who are sick. I mean, part of the problem we have now is we've shut down our healthcare system. We're now rationing healthcare. If you don't have COVID-19, don't bother coming in unless you got a broken bone or bleeding to death.
You're right? Like, but I got this weird growth.
Yeah, well, we're not even going to test it right now. And this is absolutely wrong because there are other things happening out there that are going to lead to a mortality as well. They cannot be ignored, but in fact, we are ignoring them.
That's right.
All right.
Well, we're going to pick up on that. In our next segment, we're really going to talk about the cures and the things that are out there
and
helping
the reaction
people
to them.
better. Yeah. Not just the physical reaction, but the liberal reaction.
That's what I was talking about.
I knew you were.
Because there ain't much of one, but there's a lot of the other.
Now, if you've been out there playing basketball and one of your neighbors snitches on you and you get wrongly convicted of something, you need to call Hal Scott Magaro, okay? Yep. AppealslawGroup.com. We're broadcasting from their studios. They've been very gracious. And in our YouTube link, you can see their link, because that's where we're broadcasting from. So visit AppealslawGroup.com. And don't forget, if you enjoy this show, you'll definitely enjoy the American Adversaries radio show every Sunday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern time on AmericanAdversaries.com. That's when you're driving home. It's a great time. Or on AM 950 and FM 94.9 if you live here in Central Florida. You can pick it up in your car. Anywhere else in the country where you're listening from, go to AmericanAdversaries.com. Hit the social media links and banners on there. And don't forget, while watching this, like and share and hit that notification bell, okay? Stay tuned for our Cures segment. That's going to be a lot of fun. But in the meantime, be safe, be smart out there, America.